Hello, everyone. This is Farrah Captain with Captain & Co. Real Estate, and I have Marissa Herzog, Beth Schindler, Austin Rowe, and Dylan Patel with us today, and we are here to present to you the start to finish of buying a house. It's a brief introduction of what the process looks like with buying a home, and then we hope to sit down with you one-on-one to give you a more detailed example of what it looks like to go through the process. So here's all of us. When you will see a few other names that aren't speaking today. Roni Imperial, she is our assistant, so she sometimes is in the background while we are showing houses to you. You may see her send an email saying, hey, I need this from you, or we missed a signature or something like that. Jake Ritter, he will often be our person who does our concierge service. So if, for example, if there's an earnest money check or something that we need your help to pick up, we'll have him run out and get it for you and drop it off for you so that you don't have to leave work. Those are the two people that you'll see the most, and they're working in the background to help us help you. How do we get there? How do we get from, I don't know what to do, I'm getting ready to buy a house, I want to get closed on my property, what do we do? So we're going to go through the process of what that takes. So Beth, why don't you take it away for us on the overview of what we're going to talk about today?
So what we will be talking about today, first off, we'll start with the pre-approval process, the loan process, how all of that works, finding the lender, and walking you through that. Then we'll talk about a buyer consultation. So what to expect when you sit down with your realtor and start the search process. We'll go over the search criteria. And then how much do you need up front, from closing costs to inspection costs, things like that. We will also talk about the home buying process and then what you can do today to get ready.
So the pre-approval process, the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved is that when pre-qualified is based off of your application when you initially begin the process with a lender. So it's whatever you said. So if you say you make $125,000 per year, they're basing that pre-qualification off of that what you told them. So the pre-approved part is the big difference. That is information that the lender, the loan officer, has verified. So through your bank statements or pay stubs or paychecks and what have you, that's how that information is verified and moved over to a pre-approved. So speak with a lender. You want to see if they're a good fit. I mean, personality is a big thing when it comes to who you're working with on a day-to-day basis to make the biggest purchase of your life. Are they knowledgeable in the area or the type of loan that you're pursuing? Are they responsive? That's a big thing in this industry, is being responsive, especially in the market that we're in right now. Things have to happen almost instantaneously to make things work in this market. So you want to make sure that they can answer a text or an email at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night sometimes, especially with your realtor, because they're trying to get things done and represent you to the best of their ability. Are they detail oriented? The last thing you want to do is get to the closing table or the day of closing and something is missed. So you want to make sure that your lender is detail oriented and all of the little bitty things are taken care of on the forefront. That way you're not sitting at the closing table waiting on documents to show up in front of you. So some things you should discuss with your lender is your credit score. Now, that is not the only thing that goes into getting pre-approved. There's multiple things such as income, what type of items are on your credit score. Obviously where are you on the credit score bracket? There are other things that go into that number. It's not strictly just that number. So don't freak out if your credit score isn't top notch, because there are other factors that go into that. There are as far as how much do you need, you can get as little, depending on what type of loan program you go with, you can get as little as 0% down all the way up to 20+% down, depending on which loan program you go with. There are certainly programs out there to help with down payment assistance, such as the THDA program. The income requirements in Shelby County are $70,000 to $80,000. That's the max. That's the cap that you can make, depending on how many people live in your house. the maximum purchase limit is $250,000, and it's typically insured by the FHA. Then there's also down payment assistance programs. The city of Memphis offers one up to $10,000, and if I remember correctly, their purchase limit is $255,000 within the Memphis city limits. So anywhere in the city of Memphis, you can buy a house with this program. Currently, those funds are depleted until the 2021-2022 budget is adopted, which should be happening in the summer of this year. There's also there's a bill that has been introduced into Congress at the federal level for a tax incentive savings account, which will allow for you or anyone you know to put $12,000 a year of contributions into a savings account that has a tax incentive on it towards the purchase of a home. So that's a huge deal to help people be able to purchase a home that may not previously been able to. It encourages savings towards purchasing a home.
All right. So once you've kind of spoken with a lender, or you kind of have an idea how to start there, or if you have no idea where to start, Buyer Consultation is here for you. This is going to be the point in time that you sit down with the realtor you think you may want to work with, and we'll go through an interview process. You ask us questions, see if we're a good fit for you. We'll ask you questions, see what you're really looking for and how we can best work to serve you. Part of the process will be going over the search criteria, whether you want a certain number of bedrooms, bathrooms, parts of town, fenced yard, fireplace, you name it, we'll discuss it and try to work with you. We'll go through the buying process and kind of do an overview. And as far as the lender portion, if you come to us first, at this point in time, we can give you a list of multiple lenders we've had positive experiences with, just to give you a starting point on places you can call. At the end of the day, the consultation is here for you to see if we're a good fit for you.
All right, so how much money do you need up front? There's a couple things to think of when you start the search process, and then also money that's going to be due at closing. So when you're writing a contract on a home, you'll want to put down earnest money. We typically see around 1% of the purchase price put down as earnest money. So that's a good number to keep in the back of your mind. Of course, that amount can vary. So make sure that you're speaking with the realtor that you choose to work with to see what their best advice is and what you can afford to put down as earnest money. Also, earnest money is your way of saying, I'm serious about purchasing this home. And then that money is credited back to you at closing towards the purchase of your home. You'll also need inspection fees and appraisal fees. These are things that you will pay for out of pocket during the contract to close process. And then at closing, you'll need to know, you'll need your down payment. So when you speak with your lender, you'll know exactly what down payment you're trying to put down on your home. That'll be something that's agreed upon with your lender. Your closing costs can range anywhere from 1% to 3% of the purchase price. There's also a note in here if that's not paid by the seller. So that is something that you can ask for in a contract. But make sure that you speak with your realtor before you ask for closing costs, because depending on the market, it may or may not be a good idea to ask the seller. Also due at closing, you'll have prepaids, and then you'll want to know, you'll want to set aside some money, make sure that you have enough money for emergency funds and move-in funds. Whether that be if anything needs to be repaired after closing, or move-in costs if you plan to pay for movers or anything else.
Okay, so the home buyer diagram. This is kind of a visual representation of what happens during the process of searching for a home. We start at the beginning. You have the consultation with your realtor. And then while you're picking a lender, submitting loan applications, getting that approval pulled together, your agent is at the same time setting up searches in the MLS, getting those emailed to you, and letting you start looking at what's happening in the market. When you find a home that you want to write an offer on, you get together, we write the offer, present it, and by the time it's accepted, then you get to go into the delivery of earnest money, confirm with your bank all of the wire funds, making sure that the loan is final approval, and getting the appraisal ordered. At the same time as that happening, the agent will be helping you with getting documents sent to closing attorney and the lender. We'll be helping you schedule inspections, and if you need surveys, those sorts of things. We have a list of some common inspections here that you may be prepared for. You can schedule as many or as few as you want. At the bare minimum, we tend to recommend a home inspection overview and a termite inspection because a lender will want to see that it's clear. Once inspections are performed, there may be a time that you negotiate repairs with the seller, or you determine that it's time to step back and go back to the search process after leaving that behind if something is a deal breaker. Let's say everything looks good on inspections. You negotiate repairs as needed. You make sure that you move forward. The appraisal is good, negotiated that price if needed. And then you set up homeowners insurance, prepare for movers, and MLGW, scheduling, all those fun final details. Then you get to go and sign the documents. The big thing to keep in mind here is that just because you've signed the documents does not make you the owner of the home. You need to plan ahead that there may be a delay in the funding of the loan, which is where your money gets wired to the seller, and the actual physical swapping of the documents that get signed between the attorney's offices. Once those two things happen, you are legally allowed to get the keys to the house and move your belongings in. But make sure that you plan accordingly and talk with your realtor and attorney about scheduling to make sure that everything goes smoothly with the movers.
So what can you do today to start this process? Well, number one is speak with a lender. If you don't have a preferred lender that you're thinking about, speak with your realtor, and they have, like Marissa said, we have a list of lenders that we work with on a regular basis. Make sure your finances are healthy. A big thing that could get you ahead and make this process that much simpler is get your bank statements, get your pay stubs for at least the last 30 to 60 days. If you start a new job, get the offer letter that you received on what you are going to be paid. This information will make it a lot easier for your lender to move your application through that much faster. Drive through neighborhoods. If there are certain neighborhoods or areas that you're thinking of wanting to move to, first of all, let your lender know, and they can pull what the average market analysis on the area is, and also drive through the neighborhoods at morning, noon, and night, and figure out if this is an area that you would like to live in. Browse online. There are several websites out there. My personal favorite is our website, captainandco.realestate or realtor.com. One of the two will certainly direct you to the houses that you may be interested in. Visit open houses. Right now, of course, during COVID, our open house situation is a little bit stymied, I guess is the best way to put that. But when we open back up, hopefully we'll have more open houses and save money. Biggest thing, if you're getting ready to buy a house, don't go buy a car. Don't max out your credit cards. Don't make big purchases during from the time you decide to buy a house to the time you close on a house. Don't do that, because that can throw a wrench in everything that you're wanting to do in the next 30 to 60 days moving forward and purchasing a home.
And that concludes our little presentation for you. If you have more questions about this process, we are happy to have a one-on-one consultant. Any of us would be happy to speak with you. And I am going to ask a few questions in case any of you had clarification. So I'm going to put Beth, Marissa, and Austin on the spot and ask them a few questions and clarifications in case you guys were thinking the same thing. So Beth, when you said that, I'm going to go back to this slide. You said that, earnest money, if we're talking about, let's just say, a $200,000 house, how much money do you think I would need to save in terms of earnest money? How much do you think roughly I would have to set aside?
So really earnest money is something that you put in that we agree on in the purchase and sell agreement. I typically advise my buyers to put down 1%. So for a $200,000 house, I would say you would want to put down about $2,000.
Okay. Inspection fees. What do you think the range is? Like, how much should I have set aside of my money if I was a buyer looking to purchase on a $200,000 home?
So inspection fees are going to depend on what inspections you want to do. Like Marissa said, we advise doing a full home inspection and termite inspection so that you do get a clearance letter. I would say expect to save at least $300 to $500 for those fees. Of course, if you want to add any other inspections to it and hire qualified professionals to inspect, say the roof or any kind of pest control, foundation inspections, expect to spend a little bit more than that.
What's like the worst case scenario if I were to do structural and sewer line and I add all of those? What's like a worst case scenario of money that I need set aside?
I would say a worst case scenario could be anywhere in the $1,500 range for inspections if you want to get all of the inspections.
Got it. And the appraisal fee, I know how much roughly am I supposed to save for that as a buyer?
So appraisal fees can be anywhere around $350 to $500 as well.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, on the front end, I need to have about 2,000, let's just say worst case 1,500, and then another 500. So I'm really looking at about $4,000 on all of those, right? About within the first 2 weeks. Okay. Now down payment. We said, I know, Austin, you spoke a little bit about, just the range of things, 0 to 20%. I'm going to have you, Austin, tell me the difference between an FHA and a conventional in terms of the minimum amount I could put down.
So an FHA would be as little as 3.5%. Now, if you get a VA loan, if you're a veteran, you can get a loan up to 100%. So that's where you get down to zero in most cases. There are other programs out there to cover that, but we can talk about that with your individual realtor. Now, when it goes to conventional, it really depends on your lender. It can be, as I've seen, as little as 5% down. What the great thing about 20%, if you are able to put 20% down, that gets rid of your primary mortgage insurance, which can be a significant amount of money on your monthly payment. On average, you have to get to year 7 or year 8 in your mortgage to drop that mortgage payment. So that's the big difference in the down payment amount. It depends. Like I said, it depends on the lender to see, and your credit score and debt to income and all those other factors as to what your down payment could be.
Okay. And Marissa, I'm going to ask you, if I were buying a $200,000 house, roughly, if you were to give me a number, just in case I'm more of a number person, not a percentage person, can you tell me like a rough idea of what the closing costs would look like?
So that is going to vary quite a bit depending on if it's county and city taxes, just county taxes, what county you're in the city, in one of the suburbs. But I would roughly say to be prepared between $9,000 and $12,500 and talk to the lender for specifics.
Yep. Okay. That kind of wraps it up. Anything else you guys think we missed? Feel good? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And if there's any questions, again, we are happy to help you.